If you had to point to a single team that won this year's trade deadline, there's no doubt in my mind that it would be the Lakers. They completely overhauled the core of their roster, landing Luka, Doncic, and Mark Williams while holding on to Austin Reeves in the process, which has everyone wondering just how good is this team right now, and what did this deadline mean for the future of basketball in LA? Now, it sort of goes without saying, but securing Luka was very clearly a move with long-term implications. He's only 25 years old, in his 7th season, and has already made 5 All-NBA first teams. With that in mind though, the Lakers knew that with a core of Luka, LeBron, and Reeves, they also had a chance of being competitive right now. Luka is arguably the GOAT of spread pick and roll. And I say arguably because his teammate LeBron James also has a pretty strong claim. There isn't a coverage against Luka that consistently works. If the defense is playing drop, he'll turn the corner and attack the 2-on-1 advantage to perfection. If the defense is hedging or trapping, he'll pick apart the backline by either finding a shooter in the corner with a high-level skip pass, or by using his eyes to threaten the skip pass, freezing that low man to instead feed the big inside. And finally, if the defense decides to switch, Luka's one of the best isolation players ever, who will happily torch that favorable matchup. A lot of people were worried about the fit between Luka and LeBron specifically, as both tend to produce most of their offense in spread pick and roll, and there's only one ball, but I think that really overlooks how good of an off-ball player Bron's been in recent years. Not only can he be used as the screener in these actions, where you have to worry about him rolling into open space as both a finisher and playmaker, he can also play one pass away from the ball as a spot up, where he's developed into quite the shooter. In the past 2 seasons, he's attempted over 300 catch and shoot threes, and he's made a very impressive 44.3% of them. And with the shooting, he's still a very explosive slasher off the catch, so by slotting him on the wing, it's tough to bring help to the middle of the floor. Then when the ball is in LeBron's hands, you get some of that same stuff from Luka. In his past 2 seasons, he's attempted just 184 catch and shoot threes, but he too has hit them at a pretty healthy clip of 38%. Defenses will basically never let him just catch and shoot, and there are very few things that are worse than letting him catch the ball with an advantage to attack. I like to compare the potential dynamic between Luka and LeBron to that of Luka and Kyrie from last year. One of them would start with the ball on one wing while the other spotted up on the opposite wing, and defenses had to choose between either letting the ball handler get the middle of the floor or let the second guy catch the ball against a closeout. That rendered Dallas really tough to guard, regardless of how the rest of the floor looked. So I'm not worried about those two playing off of each other at all, especially when considering that both are complete geniuses on the court. But with that said, I still expect the offense to be very Luka-centric, not just because it allows LeBron to get more rest and stay fresh for the playoffs, but because the formula to an elite offense with Luka is so simple. Get him a lob threat, get him some spot-up shooters, and check ball. Well, they already secured one of those things with the addition of Mark Williams. Now, it's very important to note that in Mark's brief NBA career, he's dealt with a long history of injury problems. He had a lot of problems with his ankles as a rookie, he had some serious back problems in year 2, and this year he's been dealing with some issues in his foot. The Lakers are clearly taking a risk and banking on the future health of Mark Williams. He's only 23 years old, so he fits the timeline, and when he has been on the court, especially this season, he's been an incredible offensive big. It starts with the physical tools. He's listed at 7 feet tall with a near 7'7" wingspan, but it's the standing reach that truly breaks my mind. He's got a standing reach of 9'9", which is actually higher than Victor Wembanyama. With that reach, he's vertically gifted with great hands, and those 3 qualities have turned him into one of the biggest lob threats in the NBA. He's also really good at moving without the ball and positioning himself as a target while always rolling hard off of screens, so he's truly a dream pairing next to Luka. This season, he's one of only 2 players attempting at least 10 shots at the rim every 75 possessions. The other guy is Giannis, and that's while playing on a team that had virtually no spacing with very limited playmaking. He's just so physically overwhelming as an interior finisher, which means he also gets fouled at a decent rate, where he's made 78% of his free throws. I talked about how you can't switch Luka pick and rolls because of how good he is in isolation. Mark is also capable of punishing mismatches himself by sealing off deep position for quick scoring moves off the catch. And the icing on the cake is that he even has a little bit of short roll utility. So if teams put 2 on Luka, he can connect the offense through some pretty solid passing. In addition to the play finishing and connectivity, another thing defenses have to worry about with Mark is his ability to create second chance opportunities. He's 9th in the NBA at nearly 5 offensive rebounds every 75 possessions, and he'll put those right back up for automatic points, just providing everything you want in an interior presence next to Luka, Bron, and Reeves. Well, at least on the offensive side of things, because the big drawback with Mark is that he hasn't yet shown to be a good defender. He's got the tools to be a big presence at the rim, and he is a decent shot blocker, but his positioning can be off at times and he struggles with physicality, which limits his ability to alter shots and leads to fouls. This especially hurts his ability to defend the pick and roll, as he has the size and athleticism, but lacks the technique to consistently play drop coverage. It'll be interesting to see if LA implements more of a hedge-heavy scheme, because he also lacks the lateral quickness to switch onto the ball and defend in space. These problems are only exacerbated by the Lakers roster, and more specifically their lack of point-of-attack defense. As things currently stand, I'd argue that there are only 3 positive defenders in their rotation. Jared Vanderbilt and Dorian Finney-Smith are both versatile wings, but really struggle to navigate ball screens. And because Mark struggles to switch, it really limits the things you can do with those guys schematically. Gabe Vincent's a pretty good point of attack defender who can get around screens, but he's a small guard, so against bigger or more physical wings, he isn't much of a presence. Couple that with a backcourt of Luka and Reeves, and honestly, we're talking about one of the worst defensive teams of any playoff contender. For that reason, it's hard for me to say that this team's a serious threat to compete for a championship right now. However, they are at worst a top 5 offense in the NBA, and will probably end up with an argument to be 2nd, 3rd, or maybe even 1st. Luka, Reeves, and LeBron might just be the best playmaking trio we've seen in a very long time, and now they've added a high-level interior presence to bring it together, as well as having multiple capable shooters at each position. I wouldn't be surprised if they win a playoff series or 2 this year, then with a full offseason to retool and add some more perimeter defenders, there's absolutely nobody who will want to see the Lakers in a series. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn my post notifications on to be first on more content. If you're interested in my more in-depth research, make sure to check out the Hoop Venue podcast and my social media profiles. You can find those links in the description. Feel free to let me know down in the comments what you think of the Lakers. As always, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.